Well, if I wasn't already hopped up on caffeine, I'm telling you what, this kind of energy really does it. Oh, well, first of all, welcome to our beautiful capital, and what an amazing day for our children and parents. And I hope you know this, but a heartfelt thank you to each and every one of you for everything that you've done to get us to this point right now. So give yourself a round of applause. So in my condition of the state address, I urge the General Assembly to think big and to aim high, to ignore the hysteria that always accompanies bold change. In passing the Students First Act, that is exactly what you did. And I cannot think of a more worthy cause to aim high and dream big than for the future of our children. Major progress often comes from being willing to challenge the status quo, to think outside of the box, to be open to change, to lead. And the bill that I'm about to sign does just that. For the first time, we're funding students instead of a system. We're rejecting the idea that the answer to improving education is simply pumping more money into the same system year after year without making significant changes. And we are putting an end to the notion that competition is a zero-sum game. You know, after we expanded open enrollment in 2021, one public school superintendent responded by saying, "I don't agree with this bill, but the bill is law, and I'm going to do everything that I can to make our district the destination of choice." The Students First Act will create that very same culture, that very same expectation to be the destination of choice. Public schools are the foundation of our educational system, and for most families, they'll continue to be the option of choice. But they aren't the only choice, and for some families, a different path may be better for their children. With this bill, every child in Iowa, regardless of zip code or income, will have access to the school best suited to their individual needs. We're also giving much-needed flexibility to our public schools. The bill supports our teachers, the individuals who give of their time, energy, and talent every single day to invest in our children. School districts will now have the flexibility to use untapped resources and ongoing funding to underutilized programming to increase teacher salaries. Not only that, but thanks to the bill, public schools districts will now receive additional categorical funding for all students who live in their district but attend private schools. These are new dollars and funding they will continue to receive annually. You know, but ultimately, it isn't about the money. It's not even about public schools versus private schools. It truly is about giving every student the best opportunity to find their place in the world and to build a foundation for a successful future. There are so many people that I want to thank, so bear with me. First and foremost, I want to thank Speaker Grassley and Leader Whitfer. Your unwavering commitment to ensuring all Iowa students have access to the best education possible is what has made this day possible, and thanks to your caucus for supporting it. We appreciate it. Thanks for your leadership. Thank you. Senator thank you for your outstanding shepherding of this bill through the committee and through the public hearing process. Awesome. Just awesome. I don't know where, there you are. Leader Winchittle, thank you. Thank you for everything that you've done to make sure that we had the numbers, we had the votes to get it across the finish line. We could not be more grateful to your work on this bill. Thank you. I also want to thank the many advocacy groups who have worked alongside us over the last years. Thank you for your insights on the impact of choice and your support for this effort. We absolutely could not have done it without you. But above all, I want to say thank you to the countless parents, students, administrators, teachers, and community members for sharing your experiences and making your voices heard. We absolutely could not have gotten to this point without you. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, honestly, for being such capable and courageous advocates for students and families. I have a plaque on my desk that says, "Never give up. Never give up. Never give up." Thank you, Winston Churchill. If you notice this soldier behind me, but does he go to the floor? I would do the raw, but I don't do it justice. So with that, though, listen, I've had the opportunity to speak, but I do want to give the speaker and Leader Whitfer an opportunity to come up and say a few words as well.
Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you for coming out and everyone who made today possible. But first and foremost, we heard the governor thank all of us. But thank you, Governor Reynolds, for your tireless and fearless advocacy on behalf of our parents and students. This event would not have happened without your leadership. I also want to thank the many Senate Republicans who fought through the noise and misinformation, as you hear it, in some cases for decades, and advocated for all parents to have the same choice in education as parents with the means to afford it. People like Amy Sinclair, complete rock star last night. People like Brad Zahn, who fought for 2 decades for this bill. And also senators like Senator Jerry Bain, who fought for 2 decades and retired without seeing this, but still was here yesterday to see this victory. We could not have done it without all of your efforts as well. But most importantly, thank you to the parents who stood up, demanded more out of their schools, challenged the status quo, and push for all kids to have an opportunity to choose the school that is best for their family. Republicans in Iowa have continuously fought for school choice, but school choice means something different to different people. It could be public school to public school through open enrollment. It could be public school to charter school. It could be public to non-public. Or it could mean, like we saw throughout COVID, just do my kids have a chance to even be in school? School choice is different for different people. But throughout this entire conversation, we put parents and kids first. With the passage of House File 68 last night, Iowa will now lead the nation in educational opportunities and school choice options for our families. Today is truly a historic day, a day that families have been waiting decades to see. But our work is not done. We will continue to push reforms to ensure that all schools, both public and non-public, provide a world-class education here in Iowa. So once again, thank you to everyone for all that you've done to make this possible.
Well, Governor, I don't know if you remember 2 years ago at our pre-session breakfast, I think you were in the front row, and the leaders all speak at that, and we said the Republican Party of Iowa was going to take the lead on education issues in Iowa, and I think this is just one more example of us delivering on that promise. And it's always dangerous to be one towards the tail end of speaking, not to repeat too many things, but Leader Whitford said something that I think is so true. Whether it was getting your kids back in schools, whether it was making sure that they didn't have to wear a mask, those are the types of issues. We didn't do those things because we just came up with them. We came up with those ideas because we heard from Iowans, and hopefully you've seen today, well, last night's debate and then today, is delivering on one more of the commitments that we've campaigned on, and we heard loud and clear from Iowans all across the state that this is about these young people in front of us. It's not about your elected people back here, or the parents, yes, but it's about these kids and other kids all across the state, why we did what we did. So. And I want to thank Governor Reynolds, but I more importantly want to thank the rest of our caucuses. But those of you that either watched or were at the public hearing the other night that we had in the House, a perfect example of everyone having the opportunity to get to weigh in this process. But some of the short stories that were shared prove the point on why we did what we did when it came to House File 68. And the reason is you each had a unique story on why you made the decision that a different choice than maybe public school system was what was best for your student. And that is what this bill is really about, empowering parents, empowering kids, and that's what we're so excited to be able to deliver on that. Yet one more promise that we have made to Iowans and following through with it. And I'd be remiss if I didn't just turn this over for 10 seconds to John Wills, who shepherded this through the House and had to take a lot of heat. But John, here you go.
I've only got 10 seconds. Only 10 seconds. All right, he gave me another 10 seconds so I can. Kids, real quick, I've only got 10 seconds. Look up here real quick. This bill is for you. All these people back in me, all these teammates, this is a team sport. This is teams back here. We did it for you. Parents, you're in charge of your kids' education. I'm going to look right in the TV camera. I'm going to look right in the TV camera and say, parents all across the state of Iowa, you're in charge of your kids' education. And I want to see Governor Reynolds sign this bill right now, so thank you all.
Thank you. So John talked and the speaker talked about the public hearing and some of the stories that we heard at the public hearing. I want to take just a moment and just hear another one of those stories. Arlene McClintock is a first-generation Mexican-American who grew up in rural Iowa. When Arlene was young, her mother didn't have the financial means to send her to the school of her choice. Now, as the executive director for Hispanics Aligned for Choice in Education Reform, she spends every day fighting to give other families access to options that she didn't have the opportunity to participate in. So I want to invite Arlene to the podium to share a story, tell her story, and talk about what the bill means to other families like hers.
Thank you, Governor Reynolds. Thank you for the opportunity to be here and just to share a little bit of my story. So I am a first-generation American. My mom and my dad are originally from Mexico, and I actually was born in Texas, and my mom moved us to Iowa when I was pretty young. And I grew up in a small town here in the state of Iowa, and my experience was unique and it was different because having to learn English, I translated at parent-teacher conferences for my mom. I remember going to parent-teacher conferences and the teacher would talk to me and then I would turn to my mom and I would translate for her. And that experience was just very different, very unique. And growing up, my mom always instilled in us and always told us, you have to have a good education, you have to have a good education. And so it's awesome that this bill has now passed because it's really seeing what my mom instilled in us come to fruition today. So very excited to see what this is going to present for other families. As I've had the opportunity to work with families across the state of Iowa, they have said that they desire to have additional resources, different options that will help their child feel welcomed, different options that will help their child meet different accommodations. And so we're just really excited to continue to work with families and see how this is going to help get kids the best educational option that will meet their needs. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Arlene. I appreciate you so much sharing your story. And last but not least, I have Dan Zylstra, is the head of schools at Pella Christian Academy. Earlier in his career, he was a principal and a superintendent in rural Indiana until its system of school choice. He has a great perspective of the impact of school choice and how that affects public schools, especially in rural Iowa. So, Dan.
Thank you, Governor Reynolds. It is an honor to speak here today at this great occasion. Again, my name is Dan Zylstra. I'm head of schools at Pella Christian, a non-public accredited school here in Iowa. Before moving here, I was a superintendent in a small rural public school district in northern Indiana. We had 700 kids. We covered 200 square miles of corn and soybeans, so it looked a lot like Iowa. Indiana has had school choice for a decade. They have high income limits, and families can choose any public or accredited private school. And today, it brings me immense pleasure to say that families in Iowa now have that same choice. People expressed fears that this bill would hurt rural schools. And I can tell you from my experience in Indiana, school choice did not decimate my rural public school district. A few students drove 30 miles to the closest Christian school. A few open enrolled to other public schools. But the vast majority of students and families loved and stayed in our school district because they loved it. Iowa communities have the same level of love and support for local public schools, especially rural schools. Enrollment declines, they're a result of broader population losses, not education policy. To say school choice will kill rural schools is simply false. Now, what I would have loved to have as a superintendent in a small rural district in Indiana was more flexibility with my funding. Thanks to this legislation, schools in Iowa now have that. So, Governor Reynolds, representatives, senators, staff members, and all the people in this room who have worked so hard to make this happen, and the people of Iowa who clearly expressed this in November. You have put Iowa's students and families first, setting the state on a course which will improve all schools, increase overall student achievement, and most importantly, provide every parent the choice of where their child will spend half of their waking hours. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. I appreciate your comments, appreciate your perspective. So again, I want to just say thanks to everyone. And you know, sometimes you forget sometimes the most obvious, so excuse me, Lieutenant Governor, for not shouting, giving you a shout out earlier. My partner in making all of this happen, so thank you. Not intentional, so sorry. It is an honor and a privilege, and I could not be more excited to sign this bill into law.
Need to have her take a picture or something.
Sorry, I'm kind of tall. I can scoot down.
Dan, thank you.
Oh, yeah, my pleasure.